My boots drag across the front porch as I fumble with my house key. The October wind cuts through my thin jacket, a reminder that I've put off buying a proper winter coat for the third year running. 12 hours at Horizon Logistics has left every muscle in my body screaming for mercy. All I want is a hot shower and silence. The lock finally gives way. The familiar scent of my mother's rose-scented air freshener wraps around me as I step inside, somehow making the house feel smaller rather than welcoming. "That you, Felicia?" Mom calls from the living room, the television blaring a rerun of some medical drama. "Yeah, it's me," I answer, dropping my purse on the entryway table. A stack of mail sits there, and the red final notice stamp on the mortgage statement punches me in the gut. I run my thumb across the embossed lettering. $1,150 due by Friday. 3 days away. I close my eyes and count backwards from 10, a trick my father taught me when I was 8 and terrified of thunderstorms. The refrigerator beckons a futile hope. I swing open the door to find exactly what I expected. Empty shelves, except for my neatly labeled meal prep containers. Monday through Friday, chicken and vegetables parceled out in precise portions. Everything planned, measured, controlled. The rest of the refrigerator stares back, white and barren. "Did you remember to pick up my prescriptions?" Mom's voice carries from the living room, expectant rather than grateful. I press my forehead against the cool metal of the refrigerator door. Yes, they're in my bag. The television volume lowers slightly. "My back is killing me today. Could you bring them in, and maybe make some tea?" I close the refrigerator door and reach into my purse, pulling out the crumpled paycheck I'd cashed during my lunch break. The paper feels thin between my fingers, almost fragile, considering how quickly the money will disappear. I place the $1,150 next to the mortgage statement, adding an extra $50 for the late fee I know will be tacked on despite my efforts. Dad's voice echoes in my memory as I fill the kettle for Mom's tea. "Just till she gets back on her feet, Lily," he'd said at the funeral, using my childhood nickname as we stood beneath umbrellas in the cemetery rain. "Dad, forever the optimist, even in death. She needs you right now. You know how your mother is." I did know. And 5 years later, I still know. The kettle whistle pierces my thoughts. Through the kitchen doorway, I can see into my home office, what should have been my home office. The Denver promotion paperwork still sits in the desk drawer, long expired. Regional manager, a $20,000 raise. A chance to build something that was mine. "Felicia, the tea?" The papers have yellowed at the edges, but I keep them. A reminder or punishment, I'm never quite sure. I carry the tea into the living room, where Mom reclines in Dad's old leather chair. The television casts blue shadows across her face, making her look older than her 56 years. "You took forever at work today," she says, accepting the mug without looking up from her show. "They asked me to cover for Stephanie again." I sit on the edge of the sofa, too tired to sink into its cushions for fear I might never get up. Extra hours means extra money. Mom sips her tea, grimaces. Not enough sugar. Her eyes drift to the framed photo on the side table, Tessa and Dylan on their wedding day. Her fingers reach out to touch the silver frame. If only you had Tessa's sunny disposition. She never gets bogged down by the little things. The little things being our mortgage, utilities, groceries, and her medications. "Tessa doesn't have to worry about the little things," I reply, keeping my voice neutral despite the heat rising in my chest. "Your father would be so proud of how you take care of me," Mom says, her trump card. The words land as they always do, somewhere between my heart and spine, twisting like a knife. I'm going to take a shower. In the bathroom, I stare at my reflection. Dark circles beneath my eyes, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. I barely recognize the woman looking back at me. "Just a few more months," I whisper to her. "Just a few more months, and I'll start over." My phone rings from the pocket of my jeans, lying in a heap on the floor. I pick it up, ready to ignore whoever needs something else from me today, when Tessa's name flashes on the screen. For a moment, I consider letting it go to voicemail. But family is family, Dad would say. I answer, "Felicia." Tessa's voice bubbles through the speaker, bright and eager. "Guess what? We're coming home." My stomach clenches. "Home? What do you mean?" "Dylan lost his job. The magazine is downsizing. Can you believe it? After all his hard work." Her voice drops to a stage whisper. It's just temporary, of course. Until we get back on our feet. The phrase echoes Dad's words from 5 years ago. Just until Mom gets back on her feet. Just until Tessa gets back on her feet. Everyone getting back on their feet while I remain flat on my back, crushed under the weight of their needs. Have you told Mom? I ask, already knowing the answer from the excitement in my sister's voice. Yes. She's thrilled. Says it'll be just like old times. I hear Mom's footsteps approaching the bathroom door. Felicia? Is that Tessa? Let me talk to her. I open the door. Mom snatches the phone from my hand, her face transformed by a smile I haven't seen in months. Tessa, sweetheart. I've already started planning. Yes, of course Felicia's thrilled too. When Mom hands the phone back, I retreat to my bedroom. So, when are you coming? I ask Tessa. This weekend. Isn't it perfect timing? Dylan's got some promising leads already. I swallow hard. You can use the guest room. It's small, but... Oh, Mom already said we could have your room. Tessa interrupts. It makes more sense since it's bigger. You don't mind, right? You're barely home anyway with all those hours you work. The world goes quiet around me, as if someone has pressed mute on reality itself. I stare at the walls of my bedroom, the one space in this house that is mine alone. Felicia? You still there? Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. The Taylor family motto, applied exclusively to me. I'll clear out my things, I hear myself say. After hanging up, I stand motionless in the center of my room. Through the window, I watch Mrs. Henderson watering her mums next door. She waves when she sees me. I lift my hand in return, the movement automatic. For the first time in 5 years, I see myself clearly not as a daughter fulfilling a promise, but as a resource being drained to the last drop. And when there's nothing left, they'll move on to the next well. The realization doesn't come with anger or even sadness. Instead, I feel something shifting inside me, like furniture being rearranged to make room for a truth I've kept locked outside. I am dispensable. I am erasable. I am nothing but what I provide. And maybe, just maybe, that means I'm free. On Saturday that week, the doorbell chimes 3 times in rapid succession. I recognized the impatient rhythm immediately. Tessa never could wait more than 5 seconds for someone to answer. I drag myself from the cramped guest room, now cluttered with cardboard boxes containing the remnants of my life. The bedroom I've slept in for 28 years had been emptied and transformed in the span of an afternoon, while I was at work earning the money that pays the mortgage on this house. When I swing open the front door, Tessa launches herself at me, her perfume clouding my senses. Behind her, Dylan struggles with 3 matching leather suitcases that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. Felicia. Tessa squeals, arms wrapped around my neck. I've missed you so much. I pat her back awkwardly. You too. My eyes fix on the Louis Vuitton luggage Dylan is maneuvering through the doorway. For someone who just lost his job, he certainly isn't traveling light. Mom's in the kitchen making your favorites, I say, stepping back to let them in. Tessa beams. I told her not to go to any trouble, but you know how she gets when her baby comes home. Her baby. Not babies, never plural. The guest room is ready for me? I ask, though I already know the answer. I'd come home from my shift yesterday to find Mom clearing out my closet, my personal items stacked haphazardly on the dining room table. Oh, Felicia. Tessa places her hand on my arm, her diamond engagement ring catching the light. You're such a homebody anyway. This works out perfectly. Plus, Dylan and I need the space. Mom appears in the hallway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her face glows with an energy I haven't seen since Dad died. There's my girl. She rushes past me to embrace Tessa. I stand aside, watching the reunion unfold like I'm viewing it through glass. 3 suitcases for a temporary stay. Expensive luggage for people in financial crisis. The math doesn't add up, but no one seems concerned with equations except me. Dylan, put your things in Felicia's room. Mom instructs, still clutching Tessa. She's all moved into the guest room. Already? Dylan's eyebrows rise slightly. Mom took care of it yesterday, I say, keeping my voice neutral. She was very efficient. Mom smiles, pleased with herself. I wanted everything to be perfect for you two. I retreat to the kitchen to check on dinner pot roast with all the trimmings, Dad's favorite meal now prepared for Tessa's homecoming. I lift the lid on the roasting pan, inhaling the rich aroma that used to signal family and comfort but now smells like favoritism served with a side of carrots. The car keys are on the hook by the door. Mom calls out to Dylan, "Felicia won't need it on Monday, she can take the bus to work." My hand freezes on the lid. What? Mom appears in the kitchen doorway. "Dylan needs to go job hunting on Monday. You can manage the bus for a few days." A few days sounds suspiciously indefinite. I replace the lid carefully, buying time before responding. "I have meetings across town on Monday. I need my car." "Felicia," Mom sighs, disappointment etched into the lines around her mouth. "Your sister needs us right now. Can't you think of someone besides yourself?" The familiar guilt rises like acid in my throat. I swallow it back, nails digging into my palms. "I've already told their landlord you'd cover their remaining lease payments," she adds casually, adjusting a refrigerator magnet. "Just until they get settled." I stare at her, searching for some recognition of what she's asking, but her expression remains placid, expectant. "You told their landlord what?" Before she can answer, Tessa's laughter floats in from the hallway. I turn to see her and Dylan whispering by the front door, heads bent close together. "We'll be fine," Tessa assures him, voice lowered but still audible in the quiet house. "Felicia always handles everything." The wooden spoon in my hand snaps. I hadn't realized I was gripping it so tightly. Later that night, unable to sleep on the lumpy fold-out mattress in the guest room, I boot up my laptop. The cramped desk presses against my knees, nothing like the spacious setup I had in my former bedroom. An email notification catches my eye, an old message from Tessa to Mom from 3 weeks ago. My finger hovers over the delete button, but curiosity wins. I open it. "Don't worry about Felicia," Mom had written in her reply. "She'll understand, she always does." The timestamp mocks me. 3 weeks ago. Dylan's job loss wasn't sudden. This move had been planned well in advance. I was the only one who didn't know. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus, my coworker. "Offer in Knoxville still open if you want it. Regional position. Company housing available." I place the phone screen down on the desk, but the possibility it represents glows brighter than the device itself. Through the thin wall, I hear Tessa's voice from my old bedroom. "We should really update this room," she says to Dylan. "Sell some of this old furniture and get something more our style." My furniture, paid for with my paychecks, now relegated to old and outdated before they've even unpacked. In the morning, I find Mom in the kitchen, making a shopping list that's twice as long as usual. "We'll need more groceries now," she says, not looking up. "And the utilities will be higher with 4 people. I've worked it all out." She slides the list toward me, along with a calculator displaying a sum that represents nearly half my monthly paycheck. "We're family," she adds when I don't immediately respond. "We help each other." Through the window, I spot Mrs. Henderson next door, watching as Tessa tosses my carefully potted herb garden into the trash. The plants I've nurtured for 3 years gone without a second thought. "Mrs. Henderson catches my eye and shakes her head slightly. On Monday, at lunch, I drive to the bank instead of eating. Mr. Peterson, the manager who helped Dad set up our accounts years ago, reviews the joint account activity at my request. "You're the only one making deposits," he observes, scrolling through the transaction history. "Has been for quite some time." On my way back to work, I make a call I've been avoiding for months. "Marcus? That position in Knoxville, is it still available?" The words rush out before I can reconsider. "For you? Absolutely," he says without hesitation. That evening, while Tessa and Mom plan a welcome home barbecue in the backyard, and Dylan uses my car to check out job prospects, I slip into my old bedroom. The closet doors stand open, Tessa's designer clothes hanging where mine once did. My desk has been pushed into a corner, its drawers emptied of my papers. I kneel and pry up the loose floorboard where I'd hidden the Denver promotion paperwork years ago. Beneath it lies my emergency fund, $5,000 in cash that no one knows about. Dad always said to keep something back, just in case. "The world changes quick, Lily," he'd warned. How right he was. I call a moving company while family laughter drifts through the open window. My stomach twists with guilt as I schedule the date, but something else rises alongside it, something that feels dangerously like freedom. "We can come Monday," the dispatcher confirms, 9 a.m. sharp. I book the day off work, the first personal day I've taken in over a year. By nightfall, I've transferred the utilities solely to Clara's name and withdrawn from our joint account, leaving exactly one mortgage payment. I arrange for mail forwarding. I accept the Knoxville position with a start date of next Wednesday. From the guest room window, I watch Tessa and Dylan sitting on the porch swing that Dad built, their faces illuminated by the glow of expensive phones. Mom brings them drinks, hovering attentively. None of them have asked where I've been all evening, and for once, I don't volunteer the information. Next week, Wednesday, marked my first morning in Knoxville, with unfamiliar silence. No television blaring medical dramas, no passive-aggressive sighs from the next room, no one calling my name with that particular tone that means another task awaits. Just sunlight streaming through blinds I chose myself, warming the small but bright bedroom of my apartment. I stretch across the mattress, limbs reaching each corner without encountering another person's space. 5 years of compressed sleep in designated areas of my own bed flash through my mind. 5 years of listening for movement in the night, for someone needing medication, water, reassurance. Last night I slept 8 uninterrupted hours for the first time since Dad died. My phone pings from the nightstand, 17 missed calls from Mom, 32 text messages from Tessa. I scroll through without opening any, catching snippets in the previews. How could you just... After everything we've... Dad would be so disappointed. The last one should punch me in the gut. Instead, I set the phone face down and head to the shower. My morning routine emerges like a butterfly from a chrysalis, efficient, unencumbered by others' needs. Coffee brewed exactly how I like it. Breakfast eaten while reading instead of mediating family squabbles. No one commenting on my boring meal prep containers. 2 weeks later, my new position as team lead at Horizon's Knoxville facility was already reorganized in the shipping department, cutting processing time by 14%. My supervisor noticed immediately. "Whatever Nashville was paying you wasn't enough," he said yesterday, dropping a company-wide recognition certificate on my desk. At home that evening, I wrote in my journal, "I keep waiting for guilt that isn't coming." Because that's the truth. The guilt I anticipated, the crushing weight of family obligation I expected to flatten me, simply hasn't materialized. Instead, I feel something unfamiliar, unfurling in my chest. Something that might, with proper care, become happiness. The lobby intercom buzzes while I'm pulling on my jacket, preparing to head to work. "Miss Taylor? There are 2 women here insisting they need to see you. They say they're family." My stomach contracts, shoulders automatically hunching forward. Old habits. I'll be right down. The elevator feels like a descent into my former life. Each floor ticking down represents another layer of hard-won peace being stripped away. Deep breaths. Dad's counting technique. The doors slide open. Mom and Tessa stand in the lobby, looking simultaneously out of place and entitled to be there. Mom's cardigan is buttoned wrong, her hair uncombed, the dishevelment meant to communicate distress rather than actual neglect. Tessa's eyes are carefully reddened, but her makeup remains flawless. "There she is," Tessa announces loudly to the entire lobby, the daughter who abandoned her family without a word. Several people glance up from their phones. The security guard shifts uncomfortably. "Good morning," I say, keeping my voice level. "This is unexpected." Mom steps forward, hands outstretched. "Felicia, how could you leave us with nothing? The electricity is about to be shut off. There's no food in the house." My hands tremble slightly, but I keep them at my sides. "I left the utilities in your name, with the accounts paid through the end of the month. I left a mortgage payment. I left detailed instructions on how to set up payment plans." "That's not enough." Mom's voice rises, drawing more attention. "We need you, Felicia. We've always needed you." The security guard approaches, concern evident on his face. "Everything all right here, Miss Taylor?" Tessa whirls toward him. "This is a family matter. My sister has abandoned our mother with no way to support herself." "That's not true," I counter, still quiet but firm. "Mom received Dad's pension for years. She chose not to work. She chose to spend rather than save." "You're heartless," Tessa spits. "After everything we've done for you." A laugh escapes me, sharp and unfamiliar. "That's exactly it, Tessa. I didn't leave you with nothing. I left you with exactly what you earned." Mom's face crumples, the performance so convincing I almost reach for her. Almost. Marcus appears beside me, coffee cup in hand. "Everything okay, Felicia? We have that supplier meeting in 5." Tessa tries to push past him toward the employee area. We're not finished here. You can't just walk away from family. Marcus shifts, blocking her path with a casual movement that looks accidental but isn't. Ma'am, that area requires an employee badge. She's my sister, Tessa protests. And she's my colleague, Marcus responds pleasantly. Who has a meeting? I nod gratefully to Marcus, then turn back to Mom and Tessa. I have to go now. I suggest you use the ride back to Nashville to discuss how you'll handle the mortgage. The look of shock on their faces follows me all the way to the conference room. That evening, my neighbor Sarah knocks on my door with a casserole and an invitation to dinner. Thought you might like some company, she says. Moving to a new city can be lonely. The simple kindness nearly undoes me. Later, while we're washing dishes, my phone rings. Mrs. Henderson's name appears on the screen. They're telling everyone you abandoned them, she says without preamble. Clara's got the whole neighborhood thinking you had some kind of breakdown and just disappeared. Are you surprised? I ask, wiping a plate dry. Not a bit. That's why I'm calling everyone to set the record straight. The fierceness in her voice warms me. Nobody who watched you care for that house and those people for 5 years is buying their story. 3 days later, my supervisor appears at my desk. Take tomorrow off if you need it. Family situations can be complicated. I'm fine, I insist. He smiles kindly. Take it anyway. You've earned some time for yourself. The next morning, I drive back to Nashville, heart hammering as I approach my old neighborhood. I need to confirm my mail forwarding at the post office, but something pulls me toward the house first. I park across the street, staring at the place that held me captive for 5 years. The front yard already looks neglected. Dad's rose bushes droop, unwatered. The front door opens suddenly, and Dylan emerges, carrying a box to his car. I step out of my vehicle before I can reconsider. Hello, Dylan. He freezes, nearly dropping the box. Felicia, Jesus, you scared me. I need to pick up a few things. He glances nervously at the house. Clara's not going to be happy to see you. I'm aware. Inside, the living room stops me in my tracks. Where my furniture once stood, there are only dusty outlines on the floor. The bookshelves I built with Dad, gone. The coffee table I refinished, gone. Mom appears from the kitchen, eyes widening at the sight of me. You took everything, she accuses, voice trembling. I took what I paid for, I respond calmly. Dylan frowns, looking between us. Wait, was she paying for everything? The confusion on his face would be comical if it weren't so pathetic. Tessa storms in from the hallway. What happened to Dad's life insurance money? There should have been savings. Mom's face flushes. Well, the kitchen needed updating. And your car. My car? Tessa's voice rises to a shriek. You said we had savings. $36,000, I say quietly. The policy paid out $36,000, which disappeared within 8 months. Tessa turns to me, her perfect makeup now streaked with tears. Did you know about this? I found out when the mortgage came due and there was nothing left. Mom collapses onto the couch, my couch, which they apparently couldn't carry out, and begins to sob. Please, help us figure this out, Felicia. You always know what to do. The statement hits me like a thunderbolt. I was never the daughter. I was the solution, the fixer, the safety net. Tessa paces, furious energy radiating from her. You're really going to stand there and do nothing? After everything Mom's done for you? You're heartless. My heart is fine, I reply. It's just no longer available for your use. Mom clutches her chest dramatically. My blood pressure medication is almost out. The doctor says my condition is worsening with all this stress. Dylan, finally catching up, points an accusing finger at me. You should have told us the financial situation before you just took off. I walk to the kitchen counter and place the mortgage statement I brought with me squarely in the center. 5 years left. It's your responsibility now. Tessa grabs my arm as I turn to leave. You can't just walk away from family. I gently remove her fingers from my sleeve. You wanted each other. Now you have what you wanted. Outside, the October air feels cleaner than it did just 20 minutes ago. As I slide into my car, my phone buzzes with a bank notification. Clara Taylor attempting to access a closed joint account. A text from Tessa appears. You can't just walk away from family. This isn't over. Then, an email notification about a letter forwarded from my old address, Clara's doctor, regarding her deteriorating health condition. My finger hovers over the block button as I sit in my car, staring at the house that was never really mine. I press delete instead. I'll deal with them later, on my terms. For now, I drive back toward Knoxville, toward my new life, toward the person I'm becoming when I'm not carrying everyone else's weight. The road ahead stretches clear and open, and for the first time in 5 years, so does my future. A week later, the certified letter sits on my kitchen counter like a grenade with its pin halfway pulled. 3 days it's been there, my name and new address typed in crisp black letters that somehow look accusatory. I know exactly what it contains, my final statement to Clara about the mortgage. My therapist calls it necessary closure. I call it ripping off a bandage that's been superglued to skin. I slide my finger under the flap and pull out the single sheet of paper. To Clara Taylor, this letter serves as formal notification that as of October 15th, I am no longer financially responsible for the property at 1422 Oak Ridge Lane. My phone buzzes against the counter. Marcus from work. Tessa showed up at the office, he says without preamble. Security called me when she refused to leave the lobby. My stomach tightens. What did she want? To talk to Mr. Reynolds about a charity donation for her struggling family. Used your name repeatedly. I close my eyes and count backwards from 10. My father's technique fails me for the first time in 20 years. Thanks for letting me know. I manage. Reynolds shut it down fast. Said the company doesn't make personal charity donations, especially when they might appear as favoritism toward an employee's family. The irony burns. 5 years I've spent ensuring my family never struggled, and now they're panhandling in my workplace lobby. After hanging up, I finished addressing the certified letter. My handwriting remains steady, even as my pulse races beneath my skin. The mortgage is Clara's problem now. 5 years of payments, $69,000 total, vanished into a house I no longer live in. My laptop chimes with an email notification. From Horizon Security. Subject: Suspicious online review. The review is short but cutting. Felicia Taylor handles logistics like she handles family, by abandoning ship when things get tough. I forward it to HR with a brief explanation about my family situation, then freeze all 3 credit bureaus with a few practiced clicks. Not my first rodeo with Dylan's attempts to access my accounts. When my therapist's office finally calls at 2 p.m., my headache has intensified to a steady throb behind my right eye. Dr. Winters had a cancellation. Can you come in at 3 instead of waiting until Friday? The universe occasionally throws a bone. Dr. Winters' office smells like coffee and worn leather, a combination that always loosens the knot in my shoulders. She gestures to the blue armchair I've claimed as mine during our weekly sessions. You look like you haven't slept, she observes. Notepad balanced on her knee. Family reunion day. I attempt a smile that falls flat. The boundaries list we discussed? I handed her the notebook page titled, What I Will and Won't Accept. The first item reads, I will not be financially responsible for adults capable of working. They found creative ways to test every single boundary today, I tell her. Clara listed the house for sale. Dr. Winters' eyebrows rise slightly. Without addressing the mortgage situation? The realtor called me when the title search showed my name on the loan documents. And how did that feel? The question uncorks something volatile inside me, like she still thinks I'm a blank check with legs. We spend 50 minutes discussing healthy responses versus reactive ones. When I leave, the headache has retreated to a dull pressure rather than stabbing pain. My phone lights up with a news alert as I pull into the parking lot of my apartment complex. A new GoFundMe campaign, help the Taylor family keep their home. Tessa's smiling face stared back at me. Clara posed beside her, looking frail and worried. The description makes my blood boil. After our sister divided by daughter abandoned us during financial hardship. I snap a screenshot and forward it to my lawyer with a 2-word message. Defamation lawsuit. Before I can put the phone away, it rings. Mrs. Henderson's name flashes on the screen. I thought you should know, she begins without greeting. The truth is coming out. That GoFundMe your sister started? People are asking questions. Betty Marshall from church remembered your father's insurance policy and asked Clara point blank what happened to that money. What did she say? I gripped the steering wheel with my free hand. Stammered something about medical expenses. Then Betty mentioned seeing Clara's kitchen renovation last year. A laugh escapes me, sharp and genuine. The renovation I paid for because Clara insisted it would increase the home's value. Well, now half the neighborhood knows it. and Tessa's showing photos of the house to potential buyers with maintenance issues everywhere. The back steps are rotting, the gutters are clogged. All the jobs I used to handle on weekends. That evening, my doorbell rings. I peek through the peephole to see a group of my coworkers, Marcus at the front holding a casserole dish. Intervention, he announces when I open the door. We heard Tessa showed up at the office. They file into my apartment, bringing food and companionship without the weight of obligation. Someone passes me a glass of wine. The conversation flows around work, weekend plans, a movie someone wants to see, normal things that have nothing to do with mortgage payments or guilt. We're having Thanksgiving at our place. Marcus's wife Janine tells me, squeezing my arm. You're coming. Non-negotiable. My throat tightens. I usually have to cook for. Not this year, she interrupts gently. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Mom just got a job at Wilson's Pharmacy, part-time cashier. She's furious. Another text follows immediately. This is Liam, by the way, Tessa's friend. Thought you should know they're not doing great over there. I show Marcus the messages. Good, he says firmly. About time they stood on their own feet. Later, after everyone leaves, I stand at my window watching cars pass on the street below. My apartment is small but peaceful. No one calls for prescriptions or tea or attention. No bills lurk in corners waiting to ambush me. My phone buzzes one final time for the day. An email notification. From Tessa Taylor. Subject: This is all your fault. You told me Felicia would always take care of us. The message is clearly meant for Clara. I forward it to my therapy journal folder, evidence of cracks beginning to form in their united front. For the first time in 5 years, I fall asleep without the weight of tomorrow's obligations pressing me into the mattress. My dreams are quiet, unmarked by guilt or dread. Freedom, it turns out, costs exactly what I can afford. 10 days later, the antiseptic smell hits me before I step fully into the hospital room. It mingles with the faint floral notes of Clara's perfume, the same brand she's worn since I was 10. Mom lies against crisp white sheets, looking smaller than I remember from just 3 months ago. Her hair, usually colored to hide the gray, shows silver roots. The sight catches me off guard. Felicia? Her voice cracks. You came. I stand at the threshold, flowers clutched in my hand like a shield. 3 steps would bring me to her bedside, but my feet refuse to move. The doctor says it's just a minor procedure. I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Tessa made it sound like you were dying. Mom's hand flutters to her chest. My heart, honey. The palpitations started after you left us. Dr. Simmons says it's stress-induced. I place the daisies on the windowsill, careful not to disturb the array of get-well cards. Most bear the logo of our family church, their gold crosses glinting in the afternoon light. Pastor Williams called me yesterday. I tell her. Said something about a family healing intervention. We're all worried about you. Mom's eyes well with tears that don't fall. Running away, cutting off your family. It isn't like you, Lily. The childhood nickname slams into me with unexpected force. My stomach twists, a familiar ache spreading up into my chest. For one wavering moment, I see myself reaching for my checkbook, hear myself saying, just until you get back on your feet. The old programming runs deep. I didn't run away. I say instead. I moved on. The bathroom door swings open and Tessa emerges, phone in hand. She stops when she sees me, her practiced surprise not quite reaching her eyes. Oh. You're here. She tucks her phone away and steps toward me, arms outstretched for a hug I don't return. Did you get my messages about the family meeting? Everyone's coming. I'm not staying for any meeting. Tessa's smile falters. She reaches into a tote bag and pulls out a photo album bound in cracked leather. I brought some things I thought might help you remember who you are, who we are as a family. The album falls open to a faded Polaroid dad, teaching me to fish while Tessa, barely 5, watches from the shore. My throat tightens. Family comes first, Tessa whispers. That's what Dad always said. A muscle twitches in my jaw. Is that why you told people I had a mental breakdown? To help me remember? Tessa blanches, her gaze darting to Mom. I was worried about you. Enough to spread rumors to my former neighbors? To mislead Mom's doctor? Mom's monitor beeps a little faster. Felicia, please. Not now. My head pounds with the beginning of a migraine. I press my fingers to my temples, wishing I'd brought my medication. I wish my therapist wasn't on vacation this week. All we want, Tessa says, sidling closer, is a fresh start. Just a little help until we get on our feet. Those words again. The family mantra. I stare at my sister, really look at her. Designer watch. Freshly highlighted hair. Manicured nails that have never scrubbed a toilet or patched drywall. I brought you something, I say quietly. I unzip my bag and remove a thick folder. Inside, 5 years of mortgage statements. Utility bills, grocery receipts, insurance payments, all with my name on them, all tallying to $78,400. What's this? Tessa asks, though her tone suggests she already knows. Evidence. I set the folder on Mom's tray table and flip it open. Every dollar I spent keeping this family afloat while you were finding yourself in Atlanta. Mom turns her face away. That's cruel, Felicia. I was grieving. So was I. My voice doesn't waver. But I still went to work every day. I still kept a roof over our heads. I pull out the last page, my expired Denver job offer. Regional manager. $20,000 more per year than I'd made in Nashville. I said no to this for you. I place it on top of the stack. I said no to my life for 5 years. Tessa's phone chimes. She glances at it, then back at me with narrowed eyes. Uncle Robert and Aunt Sarah just arrived. The pastor's with them. Good, I say. They should see this too. The door opens. Uncle Robert enters first, his face a careful mask of concern. Aunt Sarah follows, then Pastor Williams, whose kindly expression falters when he sees the papers spread across Mom's table. Felicia, the pastor begins, we're here to help your family heal. Perfect timing. I gesture to the statements. Let's start with some honesty. Uncle Robert steps closer, squinting at the numbers. His bushy eyebrows rise as he takes in the totals. Clara, what is all this? Mom stares at the ceiling. Tessa jumps in. Felicia's been under a lot of stress. I've been under stress because I've been supporting 3 adults on 1 income, I interrupt. While Mom told everyone I abandoned her, Tessa spread rumors about my mental health. Aunt Sarah picks up a mortgage statement. Clara, you told us Felicia left you with nothing, that you were about to lose the house. She took all the furniture. Mom protests weakly. The furniture I paid for, I add. After Dad's insurance money went to Tessa's car and that kitchen renovation no one needed. Pastor Williams clears his throat. Perhaps we should give Clara a moment to rest. This seems like exactly what needs to happen, Uncle Robert says, surprising me. He taps the Denver offer letter. You turned this down to stay with your mother? I nod, something loosening in my chest at the recognition in his eyes. Young lady, he says, your father would be ashamed. Mom gasps, but Uncle Robert isn't looking at me. He'd be ashamed of how his wife and younger daughter have treated the girl who sacrificed everything. He continues, Joe Taylor raised you better than this, Clara. The room falls silent, except for the steady beep of the monitor. Tessa stares at her shoes. Mom's chin trembles. I didn't realize, she whispers finally. I didn't know how much I took from you. Her words should feel like victory. Instead, they simply exist acknowledgement without power to change the past. I don't need apologies. I tell her, gathering my papers back into the folder. I need respect. I need boundaries. But we're family, Tessa insists, though her voice lacks its usual conviction. Yes, and family means no one gets left behind, I say. But it doesn't mean one person carries everyone else. Not anymore. I zip my bag and stand. I hope you feel better soon, Mom. As I reach the door, Tessa hurries after me. Can we at least talk about the mortgage payment due next week? She whispers. I turn to face my sister one last time. No. The single word echoes in the corridor as I walk away, my steps growing lighter with each foot of distance between us. A year later, morning sunlight streams through gauzy curtains. I picked myself, casting gentle patterns across the hardwood floor of my living room. The promotion to regional logistics director came with a salary that made this small Knoxville bungalow possible. Not grand, but undeniably mine. I curl my toes into the braided rug as I sip coffee on my reading nook window seat. Outside, the garden I've planted thrives dahlias and black-eyed Susans bobbing in the October breeze. Plants that survive with minimal fuss but maximum beauty. Like me, these days. The doorbell chimes. Robert stands on my porch, his English teacher's satchel slung across his chest, gray at his temples catching the light. Brought fresh scones, he says, holding up a paper bag. Thought we could have breakfast before your shift. His smile reaches his eyes without demanding anything in return. 6 months of dating, and still no emotional scorekeeping. No subtle tests of loyalty. Just mutual respect wrapped in quiet affection. My phone buzzes as we spread jam on still warm scones. Cousin Vivian's name flashes on the screen. I need to take this. I tell Robert, who nods and wanders to inspect my newest bookshelf installation. Felicia, thank God you answered. Vivian's voice trembles. Derek left. The kids are a mess. I can't make rent this month, just until I get on my feet. The familiar refrain. The same desperate notes Clara and Tessa played for years. I'm sorry that's happening. I respond, surprised by my own steady voice. The Community Resource Center on Willow Street has emergency rental assistance. I can text you the number. Silence stretches between us. I wait, no longer rushing to fill the void with promises. That's it? Her voice sharpens. After everything our family has done for you? Yes, I say simply. That's what I can offer right now. After we hang up, Robert returns to the table. Everything okay? Actually, yes. And I mean it. Later, I collect the mail. Among the usual bills sits an envelope containing my mortgage statement. No red warnings, just the steady diminishing of principal as I build equity in something truly mine. I open the refrigerator to put away leftover scones. The shelves hold fresh vegetables, my favorite sharp cheddar, orange juice in the glass bottle I prefer, despite its extra cost, small luxuries that matter to me, chosen without negotiation. My savings account notification pings on my phone, another automatic deposit completed. The steady growth of numbers represents options, choices, freedom. At my desk, I open my journal, running my fingers across the leather cover Dad gave me on my 16th birthday. For your big ideas, he'd said. If only he could see how I've finally made room for them. I write, family isn't martyrdom. It shouldn't require disappearing. My therapist's words echo as I close the journal. Guilt is just fear, dressed up as virtue. My last session next week marks 18 months of unlearning old patterns. That evening, I hosted a small gathering, a housewarming delayed for months. Marcus and his wife Denise arrive with a set of wind chimes for the back porch. From all of us at the office, he says, you inspired half the team to set better boundaries. Mrs. Henderson appears with cuttings from her garden, descendants of the plants I'd started at my old home. These belong with you, she says. They always did. Later, Jennifer, the new logistics coordinator, pulls me aside. Can I ask you something personal? My brother's moving in temporarily, and already talking about staying through next year. I'm afraid to say no. I recognize the tightness around her eyes, the slight hunch of her shoulders, the physical language of someone bracing for impact. Your worth isn't measured by sacrifice, I tell her, offering a business card. My therapist has a sliding scale, and I'm happy to grab coffee whenever you need to talk. The gratitude in her eyes mirrors my own reflection from months ago. I never knew I could choose differently. After everyone leaves, I settle on my porch swing. The October evening wraps around me like a familiar cardigan. 3 months since I last saw Clara and Tessa at the 4th of July picnic, a visit I ended early when the guilt trip started. Clara's grudging respect as I left was worth more than her approval ever was. My phone lights up, Clara's name on the screen. I consider it for a moment, weighing options that are now truly mine. Hello, Mom, I answer, my voice warm but steady. I've finally learned what took my whole life to understand. Family isn't what drains you. Real family is what helps you grow.